Hello everybody, my name is Shipra Singh and I welcome you all to this very enriching video on Web Analytics interview questions and answers from CareerRide. In this digital world, anyone who wants to grow his business online has to compulsorily look into his web data and analytics reports also. Whether it's tracking website traffic, understanding user behavior or optimizing conversions, Web Analytics help you make informed decisions. And now that we are penetrating so hard into a digital world where everything is done online, this is definitely a skill that is going to be in high demand for many years to come. These interview questions will be useful to all the professionals who are interviewing for the role of digital marketing executive or analyst, web analyst, SEO or PPC analyst, data analyst, product analyst, conversion rate optimization specialist, e-commerce analyst, growth marketer, etc. If you are also preparing to interview for any of these or related roles, make sure you watch the complete video without skipping any parts of it. Because not having this knowledge might mean losing out the interview. Are you ready? Fantastic. Let's start. Question number 1. What is Web Analytics? Okay, so this one is quite basic, usually asked to begin the conversation. But I personally feel that this question works as your first opportunity to start impressing the interviewers. I'll show you how. First of all, to answer this question, you can say Web Analytics or Website Analytics is the process of collecting, measuring, analyzing and interpreting the data from websites. The goal here is to gain insights into how users interact with a specific website and to improve its effectiveness by optimizing and taking corrective actions. Now, you can go a little deeper with your answer that most of the other candidates won't do and add Web Analytics can be of 4 types. The first one is descriptive analytics, where you try to understand what happened. For this, you look at your traffic reports, page views, bounce rate, etc. The second type is diagnostic analytics, where you try to understand the reason behind a particular happening. For this, you try to analyze your user behavior, heat maps, etc. The third one is predictive analytics. What do you expect to happen in the coming time is what you do here. For this, you make use of trend forecasting, AI-based insights, etc. And the fourth one is prescriptive analytics, which tells you what you should do to improve the situation. Here, you make use of techniques like A/B testing, etc. So you see, these extra details that you provide are the things that separate you from everybody else in the crowd and make the interviewers interested in finding out more about you as a person. Never miss out these extra details if you really want to get selected. Great, let's move on to question number 2 now. What is digital analytics? Now, a lot of candidates get confused between web analytics and digital analytics. Pay attention. We just saw that web analytics focuses on the performance of your website. On the other hand, if you look at digital analytics, it is much broader in scope. It covers analysis of data from various digital sources, such as your mobile applications, social media, email campaigns, and any other digital platforms where user interactions occur. So, if you see it mathematically, web analytics is a subset of digital analytics, and this is where the difference lies. Okay, now our question number 3 is a simple one. Can you name some commonly used web analytics tools? So, some of the commonly used web analytics tools are Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, Open Web Analytics, Kissmetrics, Mixpanel, Hotjar, etc. Now, Google Analytics captures a large chunk of web analytics market. And keeping in mind that Google's Universal Analytics has been replaced by GA4, you need to be prepared to answer some questions based on GA4 also. The questions can be something like, what do you know about GA4? Now, this is an important question. To answer it, you can say, Google Analytics 4 or GA4 is a web analytics tool from Google that helps you understand how people use your website or app. Its predecessor was Universal Analytics that many of us used for many years. The biggest difference between the two is GA4 works on event-based model, while UA worked on session-based model. GA4 can track every single click, scroll, purchase, and other actions across various platforms and devices. Based on this, you can adjust your marketing efforts to get better engagement. And that is why GA4 has been rolled out into the market. Okay, now the next question that arises from here is, what are the major differences between GA4 and UA? This is a very important question. Pay attention. I'll try to explain the differences between the two with the help of some easy to understand examples. So the first parameter of difference is the data model. GA4 works on event-based model, while UA worked on session-based model. Let's try to understand what is this. Imagine there is a visitor who comes to our website CareerRide.com. In UA, it would record a session and count a page view hit when they open a blog. If they click on a video, it would record a separate event. What would happen in case of GA4? Everything here is tracked as an event. Page view for the blog, visit video start when they play a video, scroll event when they read more than 90% of the page, click event if they visit another page. So this provides more flexibility and detailed tracking also. And this is a major difference between the two. The second point of difference is UA worked on page views, while GA4 works on events. Let's try to understand this also with the help of an example. Suppose the user who visited our website refreshes a page on our website. What would happen in case of UA? It would count two separate page views here. What would happen in case of GA4? It logs one page view event here. This means that the numbers I'm getting are not inflated. The accuracy in tracking the activity is also more in this case. The third point of difference is bounce rate versus engagement rate. Let's try to understand this also with the help of an example. Suppose a visitor lands on my article, Top Web Analytics Interview Questions and Answers, and spends 15 seconds reading it before they leave. What would happen in case of UA? It would count it as a bounce, which is a negative thing, even though the user actually engaged reading my article. But what would happen in case of GA4? It would count it as an engagement session here, because the user spent more than 10 seconds on my article. So GA4 realistically measures user engagement rather than just tracking the exits. With UA, the focus was on reducing the bounce rate. But with GA4, the focus is on improving the engagement rate. So this is a major difference between the two of them. The fourth point of difference is cross-device tracking, because now your website plus app is one property. Let's try to understand this also. Suppose a user reads an article on CareerRide.com on their laptop. Then later on, they open the same site on their mobile phone. What would happen in case of UA? It would treat them as two separate users. But in GA4, it makes use of Google signals and user ID to recognize that this is the same person. So you get a unified view of user behavior across different devices. The next point of difference is no changes in the code are needed now. For example, let's say you want to track scroll depth in your blog. Earlier with UA, what would happen was you had to manually place the tracking code in the GTM. But with GA4, it's automatically tracked with enhanced measurement. This means you don't have to work with code for the common interactions like file downloads, outbound clicks, and video views. Another improvement that has been brought with GA4 is it provides predictive analytics and AI insights using which you can optimize your marketing campaigns. And the last point of difference between the two is in UA, the sessions used to get reset at midnight, while there's a continuous tracking in case of GA4. Now, you would ask me what's the practical implication of this? So, for example, if a user visited CareerRide.com at 11:55 p.m. and continued browsing till 12:05 a.m., what would happen in case of you here? It would split the whole session into two because it believed that the day has changed at midnight. But in case of GA4, this remains to be one session only. This helps you get a more accurate flow of the user activity. So basically, many limitations of UA4 have been fixed in GA4. It is more accurate, flexible, and privacy friendly also. Okay, so while this finishes the answer, I realize that the answer has become a little lengthy. I would recommend that you replay this much part of the video and revise it for clarity if you need to. Also, if you require, you can take some notes also along with this. Okay, now with this, let's move on to some concept-based questions that are very important in case of web analytics. And one such question is, what do you understand by click-through rate? So click-through rate or CTR is the ratio showing how often do the people who see your call to action, ad or product listing actually click on it. For example, if your ad is shown to 100 people and 5 people actually click on it and come to the landing page, what is your CTR? Your CTR in this case is 5%. It basically demonstrates how well are your keywords and ads and free listings performing. A high CTR is an indication that the users find your ads and listings helpful and relevant, and your targeting is working well. Okay, let's move on to another such question. What is conversion rate? So conversion rate refers to the percentage of users who take the desired action on your website or app that you wanted them to take. This action could be submitting a form, taking a survey, signing up for a newsletter, downloading an ebook, buying a product, or anything else. Now, what do good conversion rates indicate? So the first thing that good conversion rates in case of ads indicate that your ads are effective. They are placed on the right platform and they are targeting the right kind of people. That is why people are finding them useful, they are clicking on them and they are actually coming to you. The second thing it indicates is about your landing pages. It means that your landing pages are very well designed. They have clear instructions. Your process is smooth for the users to follow on all the devices, and that is why they are able to finish the whole transaction successfully, which is pushing up your conversion rates. If it is a product, a good conversion rate also means that your pricing is competitive and users trust your website and the brand also, and that is why your conversion rates are growing. If it is a newsletter, it means your content is engaging and users find it informative, and that is why they are willing to sign up for your newsletter, which is pushing up your conversion rates. So you see, when you look at the figures, you get a holistic idea about the whole thing, and that is why web analytics is very, very important. Okay, now the next question that we have got here is pretty simple and easy. Why is goal tracking important? To answer this question, you can say, well, measuring the results is one of the most important elements of any marketing campaign, including internet marketing. Different analytics tools have different ways to do this. It helps you by ensuring that your marketing budget and efforts are being spent in the right direction, in the correct way. And this allows you to make informed business decisions. That is why goal tracking is very important. Okay, now our question number 9 is again a simple but an important one. Pay attention. The question is, tell us more about engagement rate in GA4. So see, engagement rate and bounce rate are two important metrics in Google Analytics that enable you to measure and analyze user engagement with your website or app. Both of these metrics are defined in terms of engaged sessions. Now, what is this engaged session? So an engaged session is a session that meets one of the following criteria. The first one is it lasts more than 10 seconds. Secondly, it has one key event taking place during it. And third, it has 2 or more screen or page views during it. And the percentage of engaged sessions you have on your website or mobile app is your engagement rate. What is the opposite of this? The opposite of this is bounce rate. So bounce rate is the percentage of sessions that were not engaged. Simple, isn't it? Great. Let's move forward. Great. Let's move on to question number 10 now. What is exit rate? So see, exit rate of a page is the percentage of times it was the last page to be visited before a user left the website. For example, let's say there are 100 visitors to a website and 30 of them leave from a specific page. What would be the exit rate of this page? It would be 30%. Now, if this last page is a thank you page, the exits are of course understandable. But imagine 30% of your customers adding the product to their cart and exiting from the checkout page, abandoning their cart. Now this becomes serious. Do you think this indicates the occurrence of a major problem on that page, which demands immediate attention? Of course, yes. And that is why exit rate is so important. Okay, so now there are some core web vitals that have a direct impact on the user engagement, bounce rate, and conversions, which are the key aspects of web analytics. So the question that I'm bringing before you now is another important one. The question is, what do you know about the core web vitals? To answer this question, you can say, the core web vitals are a set of performance metrics that show you how your web pages perform. They measure the user experience on your web pages with a focus on page load performance, interactivity, and visual stability. The three most important metrics in core web vitals are: number 1, largest contentful paint. In short, you also call it LCP. It measures how quickly does the largest content element on your page load. This is usually an image or a video. An LCP that is less than or equal to 2.5 seconds is considered to be good. If it is greater than 4 seconds, it is considered to be poor. A faster LCP here indicates better user engagement and satisfaction. The second vital is first input delay, which you also refer to as FID. It measures the time it takes for the page to become interactive for the user, like click, tap, keyboard inputs, etc. A FID of less than or equal to 200 milliseconds is considered to be good. Anything that is greater than 500 milliseconds is poor. A faster FID is an indicator of lesser frustration in your users, as they can interact with the web pages quickly. The third important element of core web vitals is cumulative layout shift, or CLS. It measures how much do the elements on the page shift during loading. CLS is a measure of visual experience on your pages. Shifting elements on a web page can be very annoying. CLS value that is greater than or equal to 0.1 is considered to be good, while anything that is greater than 0.25 is poor. Now see, while these metrics are a part of SEO, they also impact web analytics, because a slow or unstable website can increase bounce rates and reduce conversions. Many businesses track these metrics in Google Search Console alongside GA4 to see how web pages perform and what is the impact on the user behavior and engagement. Okay, let's move on to question number 12. That is again a very important one. Pay attention. What do you know about cohort analysis? Now, if you see in the literal sense, in the modern world, cohort means a group of people who share a common characteristic or experience within a specific period. Now, if you see this term in terms of web analytics, a cohort is a set of users who perform a similar action within a defined time frame. For example, users who signed up in January, that's acquisition cohort. Or the customers who made their first purchase during a sale, that's behavioral cohort. Then another cohort that you may have can be retention cohort, that tracks how long users continue to engage with the product or website after their first interaction. It helps the businesses understand customer loyalty and when users tend to drop off so that they can improve their retention strategies. So basically, if you see, cohort analysis is important because it helps you understand user retention and churn. It helps you improve your marketing strategies, analyze long-term customer behavior also, and optimize your user experience. For example, if users from December cohort have higher churn rate than those from the March, you may need to adjust your holiday marketing strategy. Is this what it is suggesting? So basically, you perform the cohort analysis to improve on all these aspects. Okay, let's move on to question number 13 now. The question is, what do you know about UTM? So to begin with, UTM is also referred to as UTM tracking code many a times. Its full form is Urchin tracking module. Basically, UTMs are a snippet of code that can be added to a URL in order to track the performance of a marketing campaign, channel, piece of content, etc. So to add a UTM to a URL, what you do is you add a question mark after the original URL and then you go on to add your preferred variant of the UTM, right? For example, my original URL to my website is https://www.careerride.com. Now, if I run a campaign on Facebook and want to measure the traffic that is coming from source, Facebook, as my source, I can make use of UTM and I can use this URL in the campaign. Do you notice? Question mark and then followed by UTM underscore source is equal to Facebook here. There are two key components of a UTM after the question mark here. The first one is UTM parameter. Here it is UTM underscore source. And the second one is tracking variable. This is a unique variable that you choose following an question equal to sign to identify which traffic source, blog post, campaign and so on. The UTM is attached to it. In this case, it is Facebook. Okay, now there are 5 standard UTM parameter variants that you can add to a URL for the tracking purpose. The first one is traffic source, that is UTM underscore source. This tells you the source that the link is sending the traffic from, as we just discussed in the example. The second one is campaign. It is indicated by UTM underscore campaign. It tells you which campaign the URL is linked to. For example, UTM underscore campaign is equal to monsoon sale. It means this link is attached to the monsoon sale. The third parameter here is medium, indicated by the parameter UTM underscore medium. It helps you identify the marketing channel. Your tracking variable here can be CPC, email, social, suggesting that the traffic came from an ad that was paid, an email campaign, unpaid social media, etc. Your tag here can be UTM underscore medium is equal to email or CPC or social. The fourth one is content. The parameter UTM underscore content, this is optional by the way. It is typically used for search ads and tells you which search term the user originated from. And the fifth variant is UTM underscore term. This is also optional. It is used in paid search to track the keywords. Now, to ensure that you can accurately measure each of these different parameters, it is very important to define a standard naming convention for your UTMs. The new URL with UTMs are placed on the source website, where users will click the link to arrive at your website. This is important, pay attention. For example, if you are tracking the traffic from Facebook ads, you will use the UTM tagged URL as the destination URL in your Facebook ad settings. Okay? Now, if all this got a little difficult for you or too lengthy for you, try replaying this much part of the video. Don't worry, it's not difficult, it's very easy. You may need a little revision, but you will catch it very easily. With this, let's move on to question number 14 now. How does referral traffic differ from direct traffic and organic traffic? Okay, so this one is pretty easy. Referral traffic here refers to the visitors who reach your website by clicking a link from another website, blog, social media, news sites, forums, etc. Suppose a website published a review of your product and placed a link to it on their website. The visitors reaching you through that link will fall under referral traffic. Then there would be some visitors who would directly type your URL in their browser and come. They fall under direct traffic. And the visitors who come to your website by clicking on unpaid search results in search engines like Google, Bing, etc. They fall under organic traffic. Okay, let's move on to question number 15 now. What is the difference between behavior flow and user flow? Once again, let me try to explain this to you with the help of a very easy example. So first of all, behavior flow shows how users navigate through different pages on your website. Where do they enter, where do they go next, and drop off. For example, suppose a user lands on the home page of my website, CareerRide.com, visits the aptitude page, clicks on practice questions, and then leaves the site. What is this? This is behavioral flow. On the other hand, user flow tracks how users come from different traffic sources. These sources may be Google searches, Facebook, or ads. And finally, how do they interact with your website? For example, suppose a user sees an ad on Google of a product. He clicks on that Google ad and visits your product page. Then he goes to checkout, completes the purchase. What is this? This is user flow. The basic difference is behavior flow focuses on page-to-page movement within the website. It helps you identify the popular paths that people are taking on your website, and the drop-off points. Both of these things help you optimize the internal linking and content to guide the users effectively and keep the navigation smooth for them. On the other hand, user flow focuses on traffic sources and conversion paths. It helps you understand which traffic sources get you the best engagement. You get to know if the users from ads, social media or organic search exhibit any difference in their behavior. And ultimately, you can create marketing campaigns focusing on the sources that get you better results. So when you look at both of these things together, behavior flow and user flow, they help you improve the navigation on your website, reduce bounce rates and improve conversion rate by optimizing your traffic sources. Okay, with this, let's move on to question number 16 now. What are website heat maps? So see, when visitors come to your website and interact with various elements, they click more on certain elements, certain sections hold more of their attention. And when you convert all of this interaction into a visual representation with color gradients, what is it? It is a click heat map, something that looks like this. Now, heat maps help you in a lot of ways. The first thing they do for you is they help you identify the high performing sections of a web page. They help you detect the frustration points like non-clickable items that are currently being clicked by the visitors. Then they help you optimize the CTA placements and website design. And ultimately, they help you in improving the overall user experience and conversions on your website. Some of the other types of heat maps are scroll heat map that displays how far do the users scroll down a page. Then you have hover heat map that tracks where do the users hover their mouse, indicating areas of interest, though it's not very reliable always. And then you have attention heat map that highlights where do the users spend most of their time. To get actual heat maps, you need to use third-party tools like Hotjar, Microsoft Clarity, etc. They are not directly available in GA4. Okay, coming to question number 17 now. What is an event in GA4 and how do you track custom events? Now see, in Google Analytics 4 or GA4, an event is any user interaction with a website or app. As we have already discussed in one of the previous questions, Universal Analytics relied on session-based tracking, but GA4 relies on events by tracking all the interactions as events. Some examples of GA4 events are page view, click, scroll, video start, purchase, etc. Great. With this, we come to question number 18 now. What is the difference between automatic and custom events in GA4? Okay, so as you can see yourself, these words here are quite self-explanatory. Automatic events are predefined and tracked by default by GA4. They work automatically without requiring any setup and collect the data. These are the events like page view, first visit, session start, scroll, etc. On the other hand, custom events need to be set up manually by the user. GA4 doesn't track them automatically. They have to be set up using GTM, that is Google Tag Manager. For example, form submit, button click, ebook download, video complete, all of these are custom events. So when you need advanced tracking, you set up custom events. Moving on to question number 19 now. What is GTM? Okay, so first of all, GTM stands for Google Tag Manager. It is a free tool that enables you to install, store and manage marketing tags without having to modify the code of your website. Now, you would ask me, what are these marketing tags? So these marketing tags are small snippets of code that track user actions and collect data from your website. These are placed in the website's code for Google Analytics and other platforms to function and collect the data. Having a tag manager like GTM in place reduces your dependency on the developers. With simple GTM settings, you can track almost anything on your website, including button clicks, form submissions, video plays, scroll depth, or many other things. It is also a good way to keep your website light and fast because now you don't need to put in multiple tags that may slow it down. It also supports multiple tools, including Google Analytics, Google Ads, Facebook Pixel, LinkedIn Ads, Hotjar, and many more. And last but not the least, it prevents you from collecting the unintended data, which may work as a garbage, giving you more control over your data. Okay, let's move on to question number 20 now. What do you know about A/B testing? So now, as all of us know, A/B testing, which is also called as split testing, is a method that is used to compare two versions of a web page, email, ad, app, thumbnail to determine which one of them performs better. So what you do here is you create two versions of a web page, ad, thumbnail, and show them to the users randomly. This is with an intention to see which one do the users interact more with, purchase more, download more, or do anything else that is your goal with that campaign. Based on the analysis of the data that you have collected, you can improve your calls to actions, headlines, images, thumbnails, page layouts, and improve the overall performance of your website. Okay, now our question number 21 is about something that is a major concern for the web analytics professionals in this modern world of technology. The question is, what are the most common signs of bot traffic and spam referrals? So bot traffic gives you a distorted picture of the performance of your website or app. Some of the most common signals to help you identify that this traffic is bot traffic are unusually high or sudden traffic spikes without you running any marketing campaigns, which means you got something that you were not expecting. Traffic that is coming from unknown sources and other geographical areas that you never targeted is a big sign. Very low engagements, that is 0-second session duration, high bounce rate is another sign. Suspicious referral sources like those fly-by-night type of domains are a big sign of this type of a traffic. Consistent unnatural patterns like same number of visits every day, similar sessions, all account for bot traffic, and you have to be very, very careful of it as a web analyst. Okay, let's move on to question number 22 now. What is the difference between segments and audiences in GA4? Okay, so see, these are two very important but commonly confused terms in GA4. Let's begin with segments first. Now, segments in GA4 are created to help you analyze specific groups of users or events within the reports. Here, you can filter the data and focus on certain users, such as those coming from a specific location, visitors who spent more than a certain minutes on your website, or users who clicked on a particular button. The important thing that is here to note is segments are temporary and only exist within the report where they are created. They do not affect the future tracking or targeting. You can create user segments based on the attributes. Then you can create session segments based on the entire visits and the event segments based on specific actions that the users have taken. While these segments are useful for analyzing behavior patterns, they can't be used for remarketing or ad targeting. Segments can be used to understand high-value users, identifying drop-off points, comparing traffic sources such as paid, organic, direct, etc. Then they can be used for analyzing engagement, such as these users spent more than 5 minutes on the website and testing the hypothesis. So these are certain ways in which you can use the segments. Now let's come to audiences. So if you see in simple words, audiences in GA4 are persistent groups of users that you can track over the time. This is done specially for remarketing and ad targeting. Unlike segments, which are temporary, audiences are continuously updated based on the user behavior. For example, you can create an audience of users who interacted with a particular product listing on your site but didn't buy. Because once you have this audience, you can show them targeted ads to bring them back. With GA4, you can build custom audiences using conditions like how much time did they spend on the site, specific actions they took, or the location they are coming from. Audiences especially help you with personalized marketing and improving user engagement. So this is the important thing to pay attention to and remember. Fantastic. Let's move on to another important question with this. The question is, what are predictive metrics in GA4? So see, predictive metrics in GA4 use AI to predict the future user behavior based on the past interactions they have had with your website. Predictive metrics are specially used to identify the users with high potential and convert them by optimizing your marketing efforts. For example, when your system recognizes someone as a high intent user, you can show them personalized ads and try to convert them. Similarly, you can reduce the churn rate with special offers. Optimize your marketing expenditure helps you improve your ROI in the long term. Some of the key predictive metrics that are used in GA4 are purchase probability, churn probability, and predicted revenue. Okay, so now all of us know how aggressively the world is pursuing privacy concerns and data protection in this world of internet. So your next question could be related to that. The question could be, why are third-party cookies being phased out? And how does it impact the web analytics? So now, with the increasing concerns of privacy and data protection, as we just discussed, third-party cookies are being phased out. While that's a win for privacy, but poses a major challenge for the advertisers. Laws like GDPR in Europe and CCPA in California have made it mandatory for the companies to obtain users' consent before tracking them online across the sites. In addition to this, the increased awareness of the users towards protecting their data is leading towards an increasing demand for transparent and ethical tracking. Third-party cookies have also been notorious for aggressive tracking, intrusive ads, and even data leaks many a times. All of these things put together have led to an increased demand to block third-party cookies. Okay, so with this, let's move on to the final question of this video. What do you know about attribution modeling in GA4? Now see, this is another very important question because attribution is a very important concept that impacts web analytics. And with GA4, it has become all the more important because the way GA4 has changed how attribution works in comparison to UA makes it more interesting. So first of all, let's try to understand what is attribution actually. Attribution, if you see, it is a process of assigning credit to different marketing channels such as SEO, PPC, email, social media, etc. that contribute to a conversion on your website. The conversion here could mean a purchase, a sign up, download, lead submission, or anything else that you might have on mind. So as you can see, attribution basically helps businesses understand which touch points are most effective in driving user actions that they want. Universal Analytics relied on last click attribution. This means that it gave full credit to the source that the user clicked just before taking the action. But this has changed with GA4. Okay, now what happens with GA4 in place? With GA4 in place, the default model now is data-driven attribution, that is DDA. In this case, with the help of machine learning, the credit is distributed across multiple channels based on the interactions users have had with them before making the purchase. For example, the DDA model in GA4 might determine that before a person made the actual purchase, Facebook ads had an influence of 20%, Google ads 40%, emails 30% influence, direct 10%. This is based on the historical data patterns. But there are other attribution models also that are available in GA4 that the company can use based on its own needs. The first model to know here is first click attribution. What this model does is it gives 100% credit to the first touch point. For example, if a user first clicked on a Facebook ad to come to your product, the Facebook ad gets 100% of the credit for the conversion that takes place. The second model is last click attribution. This model gives 100% credit to the last touch point just before the conversion. So let's go back to our previous example. The user in our last example came to your product page through Facebook ads, but didn't buy at that time, let's suppose. He made the final purchase after visiting the website directly later on. So what would happen as per this last click attribution model? As per this model, direct traffic gets 100% of the credit here. No credit goes to the Facebook ad here. The third model in place is linear attribution model. This model splits the credit equally across all the touch points. For example, Facebook ad, Google ad, email, direct, each of these touch points gets equal credit for the conversion. Then you have position-based attribution. This is also called as U-shaped attribution. This model assigns 40% credit to the first and the last touch points. with the remaining 20% split among the middle interactions. Let's see an example. It will make it easier for you to understand. If Facebook ad was your first click, it gets 40% attribution. Your last click say was by going to the website directly. So your last click gets 40% attribution here. Remaining 20% is divided among all others that occur in between, like Google ad, organic, email, or anything else. And lastly, you have time decay attribution. This model gives more credit to interactions that are closer to conversion. For example, Google ad, the person saw 5 days back and interacted, 10%. Email, 3 days ago, so 20% credit goes to this. Facebook ad, just 1 day ago, 30%. And direct visit, that is just before the purchase, 40%. So, how stale a particular channel becomes? It gets lesser attribution. It gets lesser credit. So, since the buyer came here directly to the website when he made the actual purchase, direct visit here is given the maximum weightage. And this is time decay attribution. So friends, with this we come to the end of this video, and I sincerely hope that whatever we have discussed in today's video is going to be useful to you in cracking your next interview. If you found it useful, do give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends also. And if you want to keep receiving more such videos that can help you crack your interviews, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. I'll see you very soon with a new one. Till then, bye-bye and take care.